In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use ScrapPage Pro to create pages that are linked to huge amounts of data in Action Pages that represent a unique way to show and share your research. These pages are all viewable in any standard browser and can be made as standalone items or can be uploaded to a web server and shared with whoever you choose. You can design the pages in any manner that you wish using the standard design tools available in ScrapPage Pro, along with the available set of tree primitives. For this example, I will start with a simple tree and show you how your research data for the various nodes can be displayed, as well as how multipath linking to other pages can be done using clickable hyperlinks and menu links. So, we start with a simple tree such as this. Notice the prompt buttons associated with the nodes. These tell you that if a button is clicked, and some additional information will be displayed. For example, the camera icon tells you that photo information is available for that person, and the arrow buttons tell you that another page for that person is available. The drop-down menu will aid in navigation through the tree by either branching you to other linked pages or displaying photo information associated with that person's name. So let's go ahead and navigate around the tree a bit. You will notice as we go through, there are multiple random ways to move through the pages, so viewers are not locked into following a prescribed path, but can instead view information in any sequence they wish. So to begin, I'll show you how we, for instance, have a drop-down menu here. And you can see that there are a number of elements on it. If it has a little arrow pointing behind it, that says it's linked to a page. If it has a P behind the name, that says it's linked to a photo. And if it has nothing, well, then it just is linked to nothing. Over here and we can close the menu by clicking anywhere on the page, by the way. So over here on the main page, we see these nodes that have arrows. That indicates that they're linked to other pages. And the ones over here with the camera icons tell you that there's photos associated with them. For instance, if I click on Timothy Lay, up a picture will come of Timothy Lay with his son in the middle, and note that his son changed the spelling of the name to L-E-I-G-H rather than L-A-Y. All right, so if we go down here, for instance, to Frank Conley, and we pull him up, you'll notice there's a scroll bar here, and that tells us that this is a scrollable photo. That is, it's a film strip, and there's a number of photos in it, and you can scroll through it either by using a thumb wheel on the mouse or by dragging the scroll bar over here on the side. Similarly, if we go to this one, that's another scroll bar one, and you'll see that we have a number of pictures for that woman there, for Helen Russick. And down here for Charles and Louise, I set that one in the middle because it's the same scroll bar or same photo for each of them. I bring them up and you'll see that there's a scrolling photos of them and their various stages of life. Okay, so now if we go over here, for instance, to one of these nodes that has an arrow on it, let's click on Walter Lay. That's the father of Sharon, and we'll bring up his page. Now this is the page for Wally, and you can see over here that if we click on the photos, we're going to get additional details. So for instance, it take me out to the ball game. This tells you that the exploits that he had when he was a young man playing in sports. Also, he was a letterman on his basketball team. And in college, or in high school and college, he played football, which was his true love. And here's a little description of his time in playing football. Down here, we can see some of his accolades that he received when he was in high school and college playing football. These are little news clips and things that were available that we found in the old family archives, and this tells a little bit about what Wally did when he was playing. Over here, some more photos of him. You can see it says tap for more, tap photos for more. So if I tap on the photos, it's going to cycle through a number of photos that I have here for Wally as during his life of growing up, from when he was a young man up until his older years. And also, you can see up here a little blurb that says he was one of 5 brothers. If you want to see the brothers, you click on that, and up comes a scrolling a photo strip of his brothers as they were younger men and as they grew to adulthood and later. Okay. Now, under the menu, if we pull it down, you'll see that I can always return back to the main tree, and I can go back one as I choose to. I can also branch to other people, and I can see other photos. For instance, Wally's and Betty's son, Steve, if I pull it up, there's a script of, or a photo strip of Steve when he, for instance, played in a band, and his wife and him, his niece, and his son, Devin. And we'll just close that off, and we'll go down here. We can see any of Wally's brothers that we might want to see. There's his brother Al, there's Harry, there's Rod, and there's Dewey. And finally, if we want to say, well, let's go see what's going on with Wally's parents, we can go off to Dewey Lay, who was his father. And in here, of course, we have the same arrangement. We can click on pictures. This is actually a joint page for Dewey and May. And we can click on these pictures here and say that, okay, fine, we've got her picture. This over here is a little scroll of her father and mother. Anytime we want, for instance, we can jump backwards here and we can say, okay, there was their children. But if over here we can say, let's go back to, let's go back to the main menu. And from the main menu, I can branch out on Sharon's other tree here, which would be to her mother, to Betty. So here we can click on photos of Betty, and we'll see that she is, as she grows up here, going through her high school years. And over here, there's a picture of her in older age, and we have found some certificates, like her baptismal certificate. We found a little accommodation she got when she was in school, and there's her obit. All right. Again, pop down the menu and move around as we wish. For instance, we could jump back over to Wally if we wanted to. Or if you wanted to just go back to where we came from with Betty, you can do that. Or if I wanted to do something and go see Betty's father, Carl, we can jump up here and we see that here's a film strip of Carl when he was growing up. He didn't live all that long. He died at a young age. He was only about 50 when he died. But anyway, over here, excuse me, we can see that his spouse was Eva Lewis, Gig as we called her. And this is a picture of her when she was younger. Notice that this one says you can click on either the right or the left side. I set it up this way. There are various ways to set up these slideshows. But if we click on the right side, it advances that direction. If we click on the left side, it'll retreat. So we can sit here and cycle through various pictures of Gig when she was married, when she was a younger lady, and her high school certificates, and then when she became a realtor, and then on into older life. So now if we jump back to the main menu again, and we go, for instance, to Sharon, you can see I set this one up sort of as a tree, and I did that because, well, for instance, Sharon and her husband Dave, which is me, if you pull up my information, that tells when I was born, who my parents were, and who my children are. I can jump to my tree there if I want, but first, before I do that, I'm going to bring up Kyle, our son, and we can see we've got a film strip of Kyle and through his youth up to where he got married to his lovely wife, Leanne, and a little bio on Kyle over here. Do the same thing with Sarah, our daughter, and we can see where she was growing up, going through her high school years, graduating, going to Ohio State, and then up to medical school. The other thing you can do with these is you can add videos. For instance, if I want to look at Kyle's video, we can go and play this, and you'll see that here's a video of him when he was very young and learning to walk. Not doing real well at it, but anyway, that's what the video shows. So over here now, for instance, I can either take the menu and go back to the main tree, or the way I have it set up, I can branch off to my tree, and I'll do that and jump over here. And I can see this one's set up a little differently. I just use lines rather than boxes. But in any case, I can take a look at my mother. And here's Aurelia Anakin. And again, I set this up to be able to tap left or right. So if we page through here, you'll see as she gets older. There's a various number of pictures of my mother. She was one of 15 kids, believe it or not. And so my grandmother, I'm sure, had a very rough time of life with that many kids to take care of and that many to give birth to. But if we go down here, you can see that go over to my dad, or her spouse, Edward. So here's Eddie when he was a young man, when he was in the service. Again, we have it set up so we can click left or right. But if we go through his service period, And then as he came home and had some grandchildren and grew older, and there is his 79th birthday, and that's one of his last photos we have of him. It was when he turned 80, and he died unfortunately when he was a young man, I guess at 81. He also had some children along with Aurelia, and there's my sister Patty, and my brother Bill, and my other sister Tina, Mary C as we call her sometimes. And over here now we can branch up and see a photo of my grandmother, my father's mother, Christine, and my dad when he was a little baby. And if we go back now to my tree, then we can go over on the other side, and over here, you remember we'd seen my mother over here, so I'll go and take a picture of her mom, and that's Grandma Rose. And then back the tree a bit, we see a picture of George Burling. And over here, there's some pictures of like John Anakin. That would be my great-grandfather. And my great-great-grandfather, Nicholas, right here in this picture. And then out here, we have some pictures of the Schroeders. And this one I set up is more of a vintage kind of a page. You can set these things up to look however you want. But for instance, it says to click on the photos for more information. So if we click here, you'll see that Anna's information comes up. And there is Anna's information along with then Joseph. And there's some information on him. And then on Anna's daughter, Anna. And there's some information on her. And there's the house that they built. Now I just set this one up with a back button because it's the end of the tree is the way I have it. So I'm just going to jump back to my tree here. And anytime I want, I can go back and jump to the main tree again. And that'll bring me back to where we started. So that's pretty much the way you can set these things up. As you can see, you can page through these things in any variety of ways you want. You don't have to start at the beginning and work your way through. You can start way out at the end here, for instance, at Carl Conley, and backtrack from there if you want. You can go back to his daughter, Betty, and then from there you could jump over to her husband, Wally. And anytime, like I say, you can go back to the main tree. So that's the way these things can be set up. You can display a wealth of data on the pages, and you can allow your viewers to navigate through them in any sequence that they prefer. So until the next time, this is Dave from Media Digitronics. Bye-bye.